Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste, friends. In a continuation to a past video on matchmaking for marriage compatibility check, I took up that because I have been receiving numerous requests for matching for marriage making. I thought let me automate the exercise so that it will be easier for us to quickly check. Of course, we already did an Excel, but that required a lot of manual inputs. So that was taken up and refined in this Excel. So I will be presenting to you the features of this and how I am using it. Some case studies I would show you, and then finally present the Excel tool so that you can download and try how it works for you. So the file, I call this as a matrimony matcher. It is structured such that you give the name of the person that you are interested in, both the male and the female. Maybe you have one person with whom you want to check compatibility with multiple other people. So just give the date of birth, time of birth, place of birth, time zone, latitude and longitude. Rest are all calculated as before. You can choose the ionons as before. So that's the only input for the DOP part, the date and date of birth details. If we come to the base sheet, once you have created that, you can choose the boys. This is the boys side, this is the girls side. You can choose the boy's name here. I have chosen just for because it is public, I just put numbers there for the boy's name. You can replace that with your people's names and the details. Therefore, I suppose you just choose the boy's name and the girl's name and press the calculate button and wait for a few seconds. It will populate the Rasi chart for both the boy and the girl. I highlighted the nakshatra of the moon for both of them, so that immediately you also get to know what you have the data. So here I am comparing a 1964 born male with a 1967 born female, and they have lived their life and just comparing it. What you have is this in the base sheet. You have the planet relationships, essentially the dignity of the planet in terms of whether it is an inimical sign or a friendly sign or exalted sign or debilitated sign and all that. This would be used further on to find the doshas. And just essentially we need to read the initial chart, base chart properly for both the bride and the groom. This is the bride side, this is the groom side. So you have to read individually how good they are before proceeding with the compatibility check. So that's the only, this base sheet has only this information. Pass on to the next sheet. I call it doshas. This is based upon, as I already said, the best bet forming right relationships and making the most of relationships by Mr. Jaishekhar. So I have hidden some rows here. If you want, you can check them. What you don't have to give any inputs here. It's all automated now because it takes information from this planet relationships and it automatically populates everything. So you don't have to touch anything here. You just can read what is the dosha, total dosha for the boy and what is the total dosha for the girl. And the ratio, if this is actually more than twice of this ratio is between say 1 to 0.75, you get a full 6 marks. If it is far above that, that is the ratio is 0.75 to 0.5, you get only a 0, and 0.5 to 0, it is -3. 0 in the sense less than 0.5, it would be -3. So in this case, the girl's dosha is far more compared to the boys, and they get a -3 for this. And this is the dosha with respect to Sun, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, Mars, all the negative planets that bring in dosha from 3 reference points, the Lagna, the Moon and the Venus. 3 reference points that are required to check this dosha. So you don't have to touch anything, you just read the numbers here. So this is just, and this is specifically for the what we call as the Mars dosha, the Mangal dosha. In this case, the male has a severe dosha of about 40%, whereas the girl has no Mars dosha at all. You can check that even from the chart. The girl's Mars is in the 6th house from Lagna, so that doesn't give a dosha. It is in the 5th from Venus, that also does not give dosha. 9th from the moon, that also does not give dosha. So this is a dosha less as regard to the Martian position is concerned. Whereas the boy has a Mars in the 10th house from Lagna. It is in the 12th and both from Venus and moon. So the dosha is quite strong for the boy, and that's how he lands up not this portion. He has a 40% Mangal dosha, and the difference between the girls and the boys is 40%. Therefore, they don't score anything at all. So the dosha samya is not there. Their balance is not there in this case. And the Kootas is next sheet. You don't have to touch again anything here. I used already existing Koota sheet to basically these come under petal 2 and petal 3 of the best bet approach, where the spiritual harmony, the psychological harmony, and the physical harmony are specific different colors you see here. These three are spiritual, these are psychological, these are the material and the physical, and each has how many units you know. These are 4 units for each, therefore 12 units for the entire group. Again 3 units for 4 of these, therefore 12 units. Again 3 units for 4 of these, again 12 units. That mark is added and we get a 62% of Kootas matching well here. Maybe I did not stick to exactly the Nadi Purtham. See, these 10 Purthams that you see here is the standard that we call 10 Purthams, in which the Nadi part is not there. Whereas our best bet takes into account Nadi also. So there will be 11 elements here. And Nadi, I put a calculator, basically a UDF, which will calculate given the nakshatra number for the girl and the boy, it will find the Nadi Purtham for them, and that is also added to the matching score. It's both are 36, whether you take Nadi Purtham or do not take Nadi Purtham, because the max scores are adjusted that way. So your max number of points is 36, the 10 Purtham case as well as the 11 Purtham case. So I am finally using this of the based upon the best method. I should say there are some differences with respect to Ketu being treated as friendly or non-friendly and all that. In case, see in the first sheet, Ketu is in Jupiter and sign, of course, whether it's a friend or not. I am sticking to Jagannatha Vara's relationship matrix there. So that way there will be a slight difference between best bet, Ketu Raga especially. But then the approach is the same. You won't miss much in that regard. So this is the Koota which will take care of 2 petals called the petal 2 and the petal 3. Then we have to check the Dasa Bhukti overlap. So I have the boy side on this and the girl side on this side, and a given date, especially when you are going to say try out a marriage from a given date like today. I have put a given date here. If you are going to put some other date here from which you want to check the Dashabhakti overlap, then you'll have to press a calculate button again. Basically go to formulas and then put it's already automatic, but sometimes I put it under manual, in which case you'll have to put calculate now or calculate sheet again. So in this case there is no overlap. The overlap is calculated and the number of Dasa overlaps will lead to a score. And this score is taken care. So normally when the compatibility is there, both should not have negative parents overlapping together. Same Dasa overlap should not occur. Bhukti overlap, Dasa and Bhukti together overlapping is very bad. At least the Bhukti alone overlapping, Dasa not overlapping might be irrelevant. So that way it is, I am checking the score is based upon the Dasa overlap here. So Anyonya is something where the mutual positions of the planets, with the Lagna of the boy with respect to the girl, and the Lagna of the girl with respect to the boy, and therefore they score a mark or not. In fact, the best bet does not take into account the Lagna. I thought that's very important, so I adjusted that also. And the other planets, of course, Saturn is not part of this Anyonya here. So this is carries a mark of 5, out of which here it scores 3 in this case. And the final results are populated here as a graph between the male and the boy for the various practical patterns, karmic patterns, future patterns, and they score 48. And yeah, this is a very this particular case they are maybe around 60 years old now, but the person is not alive. The male member died, and I would suggest, I mean, think of it because of the karmic content to match was not properly taken care. This is a very important aspect, I would think. So that comes under the dosha part. This dosha was a mismatch in this case. This way, when we during the time of matching, they rejected this. Yeah, that would have been a different story. I think so. But the way I'll just illustrate how I make use of it. Suppose I match it for another case. Say this is a younger boy now. He is number 718, and he is in love with another girl, and he wants to go ahead with the marriage, and they approach me. And should I, you press a calculate button here, once you put the name of the boy and the girl there, and you normally read the chart individually fast. In this case, say Venus is aimed by Rahu in the 12th house, Rahu Ketu axis, and the girl side, if you see how is essentially Venus is exalted here. Venus Rahu Ketu axis again here with Mars and Rahu. So I'm not a little comfortable with this because the girl side even to this gives the speed of the planet. So almost you can check how, how good they are in terms of speed. It is only 0.1, which is Jupiter is almost still, Mercury is almost still perhaps. So you have to be watchful and how these permanent and compound relationships and dignities are there. You have to get just a general feel for the chart. There are blemishes in both the charts, so which might be good because matching that way is okay. But let us get into it. But when you get into it, the boy's chart does not show any dosha much compared to the girls, which is too high. So this totally loses power in the karmic content, and the Mangal dosha is okay. There, no, not okay. I mean, it is scoring only 0 because the female has a 50% dosha, the third level of dosha, whereas the boy has absolutely no dosha. Therefore, this is also not matching for the two. If you come to the Kootas, Kootas gives a good match, 54%. That normally, yeah, does matter. Normally, we take care of Raju, which gives longevity to the marriage. Nadi, yeah, spiritual harmony should be there. Gana, these are all spiritual aspects. If there is only a score of 6 that is there. So somewhat okay, 54% still we consider is good. Dasha Bhukti, see there is complete overlap of this Jupiter Dasha, which is a standstill planet for the girl also. So I don't think this is a good time for them to go ahead with the marriage. Anyonya is also quite low because there are a lot of 8-6 and 12-2. 12-2, 12-2 and 8-6, which are all bad. So final result, if you see the karmic contact is so low, and 35% is the total overall, which is very poor. So for this, I would suggest don't marry at all, but they are in love. But I don't know. So I have advised the parents to maybe wean them out because it will end up in some trouble. But yeah, it was not. I don't know where it would end up. In case you need to change the case to another, you just put the number here. Maybe I will show some other chart, say something arbitrarily. There is a 183, which is a close friend of mine, and there is a 391 who is his wife. They are all married long years back. Unfortunately, the lady died recently. It is 391. Yeah. So if we check there, just as before, you have to read the individual charts. You have to check the doshas. The lady's dosha is too much compared to the gentleman, and that's why it has a -3 marks that is brought in. And of course, the Mangal dosha is not there. And the Poruttams, which we call the Kootas, is fairly matching. Dasa-bhukti is, of course, she died even to 1 year back. She was running Saturn Bhukti, and unfortunately she passed away. There is also a 6-8 because of Mars, which you have to be always careful about. And the final result, it shows though very good percentage. When this karmic content is bad, we should always be watchful, is my thinking. So that way, I have multiple case studies I have done. This seems to, yeah, very useful for checking multiple cases which have failed, why they have failed, which have succeeded, why they have succeeded, and we can make a huge database of what is good and what is bad, why this works and all that. I hope this is a useful tool for all of you. Download and check and make use of it. And yeah, give in the comment section. This we already did a video on best bet, but unfortunately there I had to put in lot of input items. Here you don't have to do anything. You just give the input of name, date of birth, time of birth, place of birth, time zone, latitude, longitude. That's essential. And then once you do that, you just choose the name of the person. That's all here, and press a calculate button. If it's not automatic, if it's automatic, sometimes it calculates. So better press the nothing, no harm in calculating it again. And then you check all this data yourself. You don't have to give any inputs. That way I automated all parts of it so that you can quickly, essentially how I use it is for one girl, say, and multiple boys. Each boy I quickly run the cases and check which is more suitable comparatively. That way I make use of it. Yeah, give it a try and let me know how it fares with you. Thank you.